Today we talk about the Yeswelder 205P. The 205P is a DC stick, TIG, and pulse TIG welder all in one. It features a 5-pin foot pedal interface. It also has an automatic protection function for overcurrent, overvoltage, and overheating, not to mention the IP21 water rating. It features an LCD screen, easy operation keys, and a cooling fan that I found out doesn't turn off. Accessories include a 10-foot ground clamp, 10-foot electrode holder for stick welding, TIG torch consumables, a WP17 TIG torch with a 13-foot lead, 220 to a 110-volt adapter, and an 8-foot argon hose. Now that we've gone over everything that comes with the Yeswelder TIG 205P, which is a DC machine, so unfortunately we can't do any aluminum. We can, but it would be very ugly. Stainless steel, regular mild steel, carbon steel, they're fair game. Cast iron's fair game. And I don't know, maybe titanium. I haven't done that much research. This is my very first TIG machine. So I'm going to basically start from scratch. We're going to start with connecting everything. Let's go ahead, open up our flow meter. Now, focus, please, focus. This is a Miller Smith Equipment flow meter regulator. This is actually good for argon, helium, CO2, an argon CO2 mix, but in our purposes, everything that I've seen online, we want to go with a 100% argon mix. So, one thing to notice is this is a flared end right here, which is actually going to mate up with the tank itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to just stick it in and tighten it down, and we're not going to use any tape, any dope, or nothing, because these two mating surfaces, one being convex, one being concave, will actually seat themselves. And we're going to put it on just a little bit more than finger tight. And that's it. That's all we want. I say you only want to go a little bit past tight, because tight's tight, but too tight's broke. All right, next comes our gas hose. So this hose goes from the tank to the TIG welder. We're going to go ahead and assemble that. And again, we're only going a little bit past hand tight. Once you're finished, it should look a little something like this, depending on which flow meter you have. All right, so now that we got the tank hooked up to the line. It's time to put the line in the machine. And again, you only want to go a little bit past tight. So I watched a few videos on YouTube, and I'll post a link up here to some of the most helpful individuals that I've found. So apparently, we're going to start with tungsten. It has to be sharp, depending on who you talk to. Now that our tungsten's sharp, we head over to the front of our TIG machine. We see that we have a positive terminal, a 5-pin foot pedal connector, the TIG welder gas line, and the negative terminal on the far right. Today we're only going to use the TIG machine as it's intended to be used. That means no foot pedal, because unfortunately the foot pedal I bought extra with my own money. None of this is sponsored. So we go ahead. The TIG torch has a 5-pin connector that connects to the switch that's on the torch itself. And then we'll go ahead and screw in the gas feed for the torch. And remember, a little bit past hand tight. Now that we have the torch hooked up, next comes the ground clamp. This is included with the unit. It comes with a proprietary DINS 25 connector. So counterintuitive to anything you've ever learned in electric class ever. This ground clamp goes in the positive terminal.
Great.
And you can see that it is an oblong shape, so it does only fit in one way. Once you're finished, it should look a little something like this. So after you got your machine all set up, you think you're ready to start welding, right? Go ahead and grab your torch, but realize, nope. You have to prepare your metal first. Since I don't have a fabrication table, I'm going to take my steel and I'm going to fasten it to the end of my table saw right on the rail. Now comes one of the most satisfying parts of the entire process. It's cleaning up the metal. Now, not everyone has just pristine metal laying around their shop, alright? I picked this stuff up at the scrapyard. Actually, it was a guy that I met on Facebook. I just randomly reached out to him, and he had a fabrication shop with some extra steel that he was willing to get rid of. So it never hurts to just reach out to people and see what they have. But as we work through this process, you can see that this piece of scrap can turn into a wonderful test piece. So just sit back and watch these sparks fly. Alright, the moment everybody's been waiting for, building the torch. So of course we want to start off with the collet body. And then we want to grab the collet and stick it in the aft section of the torch. We're then going to cap it off with the back cap before moving on to the nozzles, or also called the gas lens. Today we're actually going to use a number 5. After that, you want to take your sharpened tungsten, stick it in the front, and just leave a little bit of tungsten exposed through the tip of the torch. It's going to take a lot of trial and error to get this right, as far as, you know, how far out to have the tungsten. But as long as you're willing to put in the practice, which I am going to have to, because you're going to see the results of my very first time. So, a lot of practice coming my way. And since I'm not using an actual fabrication table, I'm taking an extra precaution to make sure that electricity has a path back to ground. So right now you see I'm checking continuity from the tabletop to my rail system that I have, which is also rail for my fence for my table saw. So right there, you see I'm getting continuity, and I'm also checking the part as well, and we're good. So time to start welding. All right, let's take a look at those beautiful, horrible, no good, very bad welds. But honestly, for the first time TIG welding, I can see why not everyone does it. It's hard. Final thoughts. I enjoyed the machine. I definitely need to learn the machine. It's the very first TIG operation that I've attempted. So only one way to go up from these horrible looking welds. That's up, as long as I put in the practice. So I do intend to put in the practice, because I'm going to have to use this skill around the house and around the homestead. So, yes, welder, I'll give you a thumbs up. Not a big fan of the torch. It's very bulky. So that CK Worldwide torch that you saw during the breakdown, I am definitely going to get the adapter to use it on this welder. It just feels a lot better in the hand. And the CK Worldwide torch with the pedal, I think that's definitely going to put me in a more comfortable zone using this. Not to mention, I don't have a 220 hookup in the shop right now, so this is all done just using 110. And honestly, it's not bad, I guess, but obviously I have nothing to compare it to. It's all done using 110 volts. There is a 220 adapter, but unfortunately in the shop, I don't have one. So given that, I'm sure I could still get better with the welding, but to unlock all of the potential of this machine, I'm gonna have to upgrade the shop to 220. So obviously, when that happens, we'll do a side-by-side comparison. I'm gonna keep this practice jig or whatever, being a beginner, stepping into TIG welding. The machine itself, I got a killer deal on it. But you can go to Yeswelder's website, and I believe it's less than $300. You can get everything that I showed you today, minus the gas, the CK Worldwide torch, and the pedal. But everything else you can buy directly from Yeswelder's website. So I'm going to close it out here. I'm going to continue to practice, and all we can do is get better. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a comment. Just leave a little bit of love down in the comment section for me.
And I'd like to say thank you for all who watched, and please stick around and subscribe because we do have more coming. Thank you.